This is a friend of mine. That means you're a connected guy. Now, if I said instead, this is a friend of ours, that would mean you are a made guy. Agabish.
In smoky rooms where deals are made, loyalty the ace he's played. A friend of ours, he'll stand up tall. Through gunfire smoke, he'll never fall. With heart of gold and steel resolve, a mystery we'll never solve.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Friend of Ours podcast. This is a limited edition series hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Wrestling. And of course, the realest guy in the room. Okay, we're talking about a legend. We're talking about a man that everybody in Staten Island will never forget. The one, the only, the Don himself, Big Vito LaGrasso. How you doing there, Vito?
Hello, Duke, and hello to everybody who's been listening. I hope everybody's getting ready for a great Christmas. A salute to all of our Italian heritage people and all the people who have been listening. Duke, we have had one of the greatest listenings I have ever seen for a show, and this is our third episode.
It's sure. Listen, it's on fire. There's no two ways about it. We want to thank all of you wonderful listeners out there. The Friend of Ours podcast, despite the fact that this is not a wrestling only podcast, we're talking about real life, the real experiences that Vito has had through life, and even some things that he's heard about. That combined, this format right here, you folks have taken to it. You have consistently made sure that we're at the top of the ranks, which we really appreciate that. And we're going to keep this ball rolling for sure. We got so many exciting things ahead of us here. This is just the beginning. So keep sharing it. Keep telling your friends about it. Keep reaching out with your questions and your comments. Let's really build this community out. That way you all can continue to be a friend of ours. How about that? What do you think about that, Vito?
I think it's a great perspective on things, and when you live in this lifestyle, you definitely have a different perspective of how to view life. Because as once a great man said, did you show up? I show up every day. I've been showing up every day since the day I've been born. So if you could show up every day and make your presence felt, then you're accomplishing something.
Here, 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 here. That should be a toast right there. I love that. That's good stuff there. All right, so kicking us off, since we are right here, the holiday season, this is technically our Christmas episode, and I'm thinking back to all of the movies. Let's talk the entertainment side for a second. All of the great movies
Okay.
and TV shows, and the way that they show the mobster lifestyle, the connected lifestyle, the life as we call it there. A lot of these things put an emphasis on the holidays because the concept of family. In fact, is it fair to say that The Godfather was a Christmas movie? Would you go that far and say that, Vito?
Um, I would say like The Godfather is one of those nostalgic movies that could be used for any occasion. And when you say it's a Christmas movie, it's something you could settle in with some eggnog, some anisette, some brajou. And, you could sit there and watch The Godfather. Maybe, you watch number one, but number two, I think, is the best episode. Number three is really good. But when you get into it, The Godfather could be the universal Christmas story.
Absolutely. And it took place right around the holidays, at least portions of it, which is really cool. So I always, when I think back to when I watched The Godfather, more often than not, it's this time of year, which is ironic there. It's something good to put on the TV. It's long, informative, good time, and what have you here. Um, a lot of our listeners have been asking the same question. So I want to really start us off with this. We're gonna dig deep in the crates for this one here, Vito. When it comes to all the television shows, all of the movies, when it comes to all these things that we've seen throughout the years, as a guy who it's in your bloodline, your uncles, your great uncles, so many people who you're related to have been in the life. They've been bosses. They've been major figures. Lucky Luciano is the biggest name that I can think of right off the top of my head. People who
Right.
legitimately have been the real deal. And you've seen it from the beginning of your life firsthand. When you think about the movies and the TV shows, what movies and TV shows were you say were the most accurate portrayal of people who are in the lifestyle?
Okay. I, I'm going to give this some thought, but I have this. I mean, this just like a light bulb that just went off. I'm going to say number one is Donnie Brasco, and Donnie Brasco probably gives you more of the street life of how things are. And Donnie Brasco, it's like he's a friend of ours, and all the sayings that we use, that movie right there really shows street life. Now, when you're talking about Goodfellas, which is another one, it's more of the wise guy, the made guys, the top guys who were doing business with their soldiers underneath them. You have a movie like Scarface where you get an international flavor of the mob in Miami, but the way it works, where you look at Scarface and the way he came up, and you had to do favors, and you went to do a drug deal, and then you show honor, and like he said, I got two things in my life: it's my word and my balls. You want to make a move, go ahead and do something. And sometimes people say that as a catchphrase, but when people have a problem with you, you say, okay, what do you want to do about it? Okay, you could sit there and bitch, moan, and complain, but okay, what are you going to do about it? You're going to sit here and you're going to bitch. I'm getting tired of this. Again, I'm going to ask you, do something, make a move. And that is a statement. And a lot of people don't make a move. And if they do, hey, good for you, because I'm going to try to headbutt you in the face, or I'm going to bite your nose, or just going to crack you one, and then we're going to see what's going to happen from there.
Whew. You know, every time you say it so calm and so matter of fact that it's like Jesus. You know when you're talking to somebody that's the real deal, just by their posture when they
Right.
say something very serious to you. My goodness, I'll tell you. I want to take a step back because you brought up Donnie Brasco right off the bat, which I think is very interesting because a lot of the dialogue in Donnie Brasco was lifted from wiretaps. So I wonder if the reason why you feel that was one of the more accurate portrayals of how it really is, especially on the street level, on the lower level. These are the regular guys who are trying to make their bones. I wonder if you're saying that because legitimately they're getting exact quotes from these guys. This is exactly how they were talking to each other. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, and when you see the movie, when everybody was a fan of Sopranos,
Mm.
right? And Sopranos was um, a very good analogy of what a wise guy life was. Now, when you talk about the movie Gotti, and then you look at the cast of Gotti, you know, and we're not talking about the one with Travolta. We're talking about the other one. And
Oh, Armand Ashante, I think his name is Armand Ashante. Is that his name? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, Asante. And like when I look at him, and you talk about what, and we know Neil Delacroix, and like how Paul Castellano is, and like what the life is with Sammy the Bull, Sammy Gravano, and how things were handled, especially when he was in prison life. When he said, "Hey, what do you want to do?" "Hey, I'm not carrying nothing. How about me and you cool this, and we go take a walk and talk?" And they wanted to whack one of the wise guys there who was associated with Sammy the Bull. They couldn't confirm it, but they took care of it. And he said, "Hey, listen, on your morning paper, we're gonna have your drop. You're gonna have your thing, but listen, I'm gonna control this yard. You're gonna get yours, but this is mine." And that's the way you handle business. What people don't realize is you got to have a set of balls king size to go out there in front of African American males in a prison setting, and walk there by yourself with no shank, no weapons, no nothing, and say, "Hey, I'm looking to do business." And they say, "Hey, you're one crazy what? Hey, you're one crazy son of a bitch. Yeah, my name is Vito Lagrasso, because I really don't give a shit who you got behind you, because if I might get mine, but I know you're going to get yours before I go down."
And that's how you build respect. That unspoken understanding. When you're talking to the real deal, this is what it is. Yeah, you might get me, but what's going to happen to you? Good point. Good point. What do you think the other guys would say about some of these shows? Have you ever had a conversation with anybody? You don't have to name names where they've given their opinion on some of these entertainment portrayals of people in the lifestyle.
Well, when you look at the prolific gangsters who have come out, and let's just take Sammy the Bull Gravano, right? Now he's very, very famous, for a couple of reasons, but his lifestyle of what he did while he was in, his way to get out, which was documented, then granted immunity on parole, living a different lifestyle, but now does a podcast and talks freely about, what his life is like and what it was. You talk about another show that really shows what it was like. You talk about Mob Wives. Okay. Now, Mob Wives was done with a group of, women who their fathers or their significant others were involved, but they had that lifestyle mentality because that's the way they were brought up, and that's what they know. And because of who they're associated with, they had that attitude where I'll crack your fucking head open and I don't give a shit. And if you do fuck with me, I'm gonna go call my father or go get my husband. So that's another way to look at things. But when in our previous episodes I spoke about being connected not only to one family but another, and having friends of ours, and being that guy who was never to be messed with, but if you fucked with me, I was going to take action. And then they're going to say, "Hey, Vito's a quiet guy. Why would Vito do this, or why would Vito do?" They'd have to question it. And the only reason I would do it is if you pissed me off something fiercely, I would have to freaking take action. And everybody knew I was, you know, I was low key, but when it came to rise to the occasion, or when I was challenged, I'll give you one night in the Atlantis. My first night of working at the club was a Wise Guy Club, in Staten Island. My first night of working, um, I had come from another club, and they said, "Vito, there's two guys fighting. We need to get them out." I was 275 pounds. I picked up these two grown men and held them in a bear hug, carried them out the front door. It had to be at least 20 feet. So when I threw them out, and then they said, "Hey, motherfucker, how about coming outside?" I went to go outside to go fight both of them. And the guy from behind grabs me on the shoulder, and I'm ready to crack him. And he says, "Hold on." He says, "I'm the police captain from down the street at 122." He says, "Let me go out there." He says, "You go inside." So the guy didn't know he was a police captain. And he mounts up to the police captain and he says, "Yeah, you want to fuck with me too?" He says, "Yeah, I'd like to do that." He had a squad car there in 2 minutes. Both guys got arrested, brought to the station. Owner of the club calls me, "Vito, come and have a drink." I says, "That's okay." He says, "No, man." He says, "You did a good job." He says, "Thank you for doing that. I got to meet the police captain." He said, "I've never seen anything like that." He says, "My name is so and so. If you ever need anything, you know, don't be afraid to come to the 122." And I was already connected with a bunch of my friends down there. So, I mean, knowing the police captain, God forbid anything, helped me out greatly. But I never got to that level where I needed any extra protection because if my name was ever mentioned or I ever chased somebody, they always knew that there had to be a reason or there had to be a problem, and I was taking care of it.
It's so interesting because and you and I have talked about this offline. We've been friends for years at this point, so we've had some great personal conversations. Um, when I was really young, like grade school, I moved into a part of Boston that our upstairs neighbors were Italian and first generation. The matriarch of the family, she was first generation. Her parents were literally from Italy, and it was a big family, and they treated us like we were family. Her daughters, they were the babysitters for my younger sister and I, and the matriarch, she was like a older sister for my mom. Taught her how to make lasagna the right way, sausage and peppers. We spent holidays together, the whole 9 yards. And even throughout the years, even to this day, we've come together at various points for various reasons and what have you. So I was invited into a family that taught me about the culture. And I lived in a neighborhood that was predominantly Italian and went to school with these kids. And a lot of the relationships that I forged then still matter to this day. We still run into each other. We still collaborate. We've worked together on different things. It's amazing in every industry, the restaurant industry, law enforcement, government, the aviation industry, media, the whole 9 yards. They touch everything. Banking, you got it. A lot of these kids who I grew up with back then, whether it's them or somebody that they're related to, we can't get away from each other. We're always running into each other. So that's my connection to your culture. But I want to talk to you about what's happened in New York because a lot of the rappers and a lot of the actors who are black, but from New York and from your generation, and maybe, 10 years before, 10, 15 years after, they all have this reverence for Italian culture. And of course, we're all dazzled by mob culture and stuff like that, but there is a very serious reverence for Italian culture, the concepts around family, the concepts around doing the right thing and being a man, standing tall, don't snitch. If you're going to be involved in life, then you got to accept what comes with it. All these different things that we know were reinforced really from some of your ancestors and what have you there. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's such a appreciation, dare I say, a love affair um, with your culture, especially for black folks who come from the inner city, at least on the East Coast? Why do you think that is?
Well, everybody has let's say, a fascination with things. And if you could portray yourself as a wise guy and be that guy on the street, it gives you a sense of, okay, I accomplished something, I'm somebody. And a lot of guys who try to be this guy, which there were many, until the time when somebody called them out on it and said, hey, you ain't fucking nobody, all right? And I don't give a fuck who you're with or who you think you are. And bop, they get cracked, and then they don't fucking retaliate, or they fucking, you never see them again. And then there are guys who establish street business in some um, industries that we all know about, and they gain a reputation of running a corner, running a neighborhood, running blocks, having a section, um, being in with somebody else. But the thing is, when you're that person, you never want to showcase who you are. You want them to know who you are when you walk in a building. I walk in a building and people just look at my look and they say, okay, he's got to be somebody, because I don't advertise it, but my presence speaks volumes, and that's, we're talking, me being from New York and coming to Florida. In Florida, I don't have to say two words. I walk in and people take a look and they say, okay, he's somebody. Could be a pro athlete. He could be connected. He's somebody important. Look at the way he carries himself. Look at his wardrobe, his jewelry. Um, his presence alone speaks volumes. And when you got that command, that respect, I think that goes a long way. And it's just, it's just the way it is. And then when African American people, there was a long history of being considered secondary people. And, for everybody listening out there, I'm being very politically correct and not offending anybody. And I'm using very elegant words to speak about these things because I know that it's very touchy. And, I hope you all appreciate the way I'm presenting this in an educated way to give everybody a ray of light on what I'm talking about, especially in today's society. So I hope everybody appreciates that. But when African American um, cultured people want to emulate Italians, you look at it as a compliment, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And it's something that if you can accomplish that, it's a great thing. Personally, for your self confidence as a man and woman and intergender and any other kind of lifestyle you want to live. I mean, Duke, am I presenting this correctly for our listeners?
You're nailing it. You're nailing it so far, brother.
Like, if you look at, we laugh about it personally between Duke and I, and people have actually said I look African American or Indian or, you know, um, a different culture than Italian because of my look. But I am 100% Italian. And then when you talk to me and you see the way my mannerisms are, you already know who I am. So, what drew me to Duke was he's educated. And when people look at Vito LaGrasso, the wrestler, the brawler, the street guy, the tough guy, people don't realize, and Duke can vouch for this, I am probably one of the most educated, highly IQ'd people you'll ever talk to in your life. And Duke, am I telling them the truth?
Listen, despite the fact that you're a rough and tumble guy, there's no two ways about it. You got a hell of a brain, and not just it's one thing to be intelligent, but it's another thing to be able to communicate your intelligence. And you've always been so eloquent and well thought and mindful. So it's seamless. That's why you and I will have a conversation that should only last 10 minutes, and next thing you know, 3 hours pass because we're having such a good time just shooting the
Yeah.
breeze and talking about everything. You know.
Guys, if you would ever, I always tell Duke, and this is the truth, 100%. I said, Duke, if they ever taped our conversation, it would be a TV hit series. People could listen to us talk because we don't talk stupidly. We talk about important things, and we talk educated to each other, where we understand what life is about.
And even in our conversations, which this is interesting, a lot of our conversations center around honor, respect, taking care of family, the same stuff that we're talking about when it comes to you know Italian culture and everything that we're talking about with this series here. That's so interesting. I just realized that the majority of our conversations center around all of those themes, right?
No, it's the truth, guys. And like, if you think that this, I think that people look at this as a new concept in talking, but this is my life. This is Duke using his um, entrepreneurs to put this out in a podcast for people to listen to and get a real good inside view of what the lifestyle is like from two educated people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which thank goodness that's why people love listening so much here. So that's the truth there. Um, Again, we're talking about the holidays here, right around the corner. By the time people hear this episode, it'll only be a few more shopping days before they hit Christmas. So let's hear it, Don. What's the big gift for the Don Vito Lagrasso this year? What's on your list for Santa Claus?
All right, guys. So, one of my favorite videos to listen to is the 12 Days of a Guido Christmas. You all should go watch that, because I think it's one of the greatest videos ever, you know? And when they shout out about the Gumads, I'm right there with, especially the redhead and the Gumad thing. I love that. I love her. You know what I mean? If I could ever meet her one day, I'm telling you, she'd be a Gumad of mine. A Gumad of mine, a friend of mine, a Gumad of mine, you know? And then another thing about, Vito's Christmas, I have been trying to buy an IROC Z for I can't tell you how many years. It is the truth. I swear to God, every Christmas I go online, I'm looking for an IROC Z, right? And then when you look at the 12 Days of Christmas, of a Guido Christmas, they're sitting in the Cadillac that I have been dying to buy. It's a white Cadillac coupe, two door, because that's me. You know, right now I drive in a two door Mercedes. It's beautiful, but I'm a Cadillac guy. I got a Cadillac SRS sitting in the garage. I got a Mercedes in the garage. I got a golf cart that can't be beat. If I had room, I'd have the IROC Z and I'd have the Caddy Coupe. You know what I mean? I'm a car guy. So, along with the Rolex and some Versace jewelry and some fine clothing, probably the most greatest thing this year for everybody listening is the fact that my wife is not in the hospital and she's not sick. And um, her children are here, children we raised together for the past 15 years. They're both here in the house as we're sitting. And this is the first time in 8 years that we're all together for Christmas. So, what I'm thankful for is that my wife is not sick. Kids are here. My wife is happy. If I didn't get any gifts, that's okay. But as long as my family is okay, then I'm 100% in on it.
What is it about this IROC Z? Because I remember growing up, again in the same neighborhood there, East Boston. Again, it was predominantly Italian, and all these guys who were able to scrape together a couple of nickels, they made sure they had that IROC Z with the spoiler on the back. They would shine that car, hand wash it themselves. They would clean the interior, the whole 9 yards. That IROC Z was a statement to be made. Okay. Back then in the 80s and what have you. What is it about that car that means so much?
It's a novelty car. It's a novelty car, and it's something that you want to have as a collector. Like I'm looking at a IROC Z right now. Right now, IROC Z is a 1987 IROC Z. This person is asking $57,000 for this car. People are crazy for it. It's got 4,500 original miles. Guys, it's a collector's item. It's a show item. It's a weekend car. You know what I mean? And if you're a car guy, you understand. It's just like getting the old Cadillacs, right? If you can get your hands on a, 1970s Cadillac, which I have also been trying to get my hands on, you know, the interior is beautiful. The ride is like you're riding in a boat. You can't get this. Those cars are going for 12 to 15,000 unless you find somebody who's desperate for money and they need a quick 6 grand. Hey, I got you. I got 6 grand not doing nothing. I'll give you the money, but I need the car. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, a lot of times it's just nostalgia thing. But I think since I'm Italian, you know, I have to say that Gumad, the redhead, in 12 Days of a Guido Christmas, she's got my number. She got my number.
Take it easy. Take it easy. All right.
Duke, what are you
Listen,
laughing
what is this?
about? What are you laughing about?
Well, you and the redheads. I mean, come on. What's up with this? You want a Jessica Rabbit for Christmas? What's going on here?
Listen, I'm entitled. I put in time in this lifestyle. And I put in time in this life. You
Unreal.
know, I need a week with that redheaded Gumad. Just a week. That's all.
Just a week. Just a
Just
week.
a
And listen, I got to ask. This is a question for me now. I got to ask this one. What is it about the guys from New York? Once they hit a certain age, they got to move down to Florida. Like, this is a thing. Listen, you're straight out of a movie with this thing here. All right. You move down to Florida from the old neighborhood. You're going to get the IROC. You got the Versace shirts. You're getting your nails done. Like, this is literally textbook here. What's going on with all these things?
It's the lifestyle you want to live. You don't want to shovel snow. You don't want to be in the cold. You want to be at Christmas at the pool under a palm tree, sending pics home, splashing the water as you're talking to your friends. Hey, you want to listen to this? I'm right by the pool and I'm splashing some water. Don't you wish you were here? You know what I mean, dude?
Unbelievable. No, I don't know what you mean. I'm looking outside and it's snowing right now in wonderful Boston, Massachusetts. So just keep that in mind as we're talking here, folks.
Yeah, and I'm going to get my beard trimmed. I'm going to go, get the car wash. You know what I mean? I'm going to go around and do my thing. I might even go get a drink down at the country club. But it's a lifestyle, dude. It's a lifestyle.
Unbelievable. And you mentioned it earlier as well. Anizetta. Okay, this is the licorice alcohol. It's bitter, it's strong, it's not for everybody, but it is a staple in Italian culture. What do they call it? An aperitif? It's literally there's a way to drink it and what have you. Talk to me about the Anizetta. What is the allure of this thing and why is it such an important part of the culture there?
Well, anisette is like the um, dessert drink. You know what I mean? It's an Italian liquor. Okay, when you do it, when you drink it, it just gives you a certain taste like sambuca. This is the best way to explain it, right? Sambuca, anisette. But like I told everybody, when you put it with melon and fruit and you have it, it's nothing better tasting than that. Especially for the holidays. I mean, I can't. I love it, and I have it in the house. And what people don't realize is that anisette or sambuca can be put in your coffee, your espresso, your cappuccino. Yeah, give me a shot of sambuca with my coffee. It tastes good. You know what I mean? It's the bitter drink in Italy, and it's comes in different flavors. You know, it's like a spritz. It's refreshing. It's like you can have a summer cocktail. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there and you're like, this is nice. It's not too strong. It's not too bitter. It's there to sip. It's not to gulp. You know, amaretto is another great drink to have. When you're relaxing. Amaretto is very good. It's just like having Chardonnay at dinner. It's nothing that you gulp or drink. It's just like a classy drink. You know what I mean? Something good. So, I mean, guys, there's different ways to look at things when you're talking about Italian culture, what we do. It's just like the antipasto. When you have a good antipasto, it's for your Christmas. I mean, you have so many different great things. It's the antipasto is the Italian word for appetizer. It's a masculine word. It's you know I can't explain any way, like you have different cheeses and olives, breadsticks, different Italian delicacies in it. And when you talk about what you want to have, like bruschetta, bruschetta is another Italian delicacy that you could sit there and have 50 bruschetta and say, okay, I'm good. I don't need to eat anything else. Bruschetta is something where you have some tomatoes, some mozzarella, some Italian bread. It's heated, and it is probably one of the best tasting appetizers you can also have, especially if you have balsamic bruschetta. That's very good, you know. But if you have the bruschetta with the mozzarella and the Italian bread, guys, you can't go wrong. Chopped tomatoes with balsamic vinegar and garlic, basil and garlic.
If I want to make an Italian sandwich and I want to do it right, I want to taste it the way that you grew up eating a good Italian sandwich. Help me out here. How am I building this thing? What am I using? Start from the bread, the whole 9 yards. How do I do this thing?
All right, so if we're gonna do like an Italian sandwich, right? You're talking about, getting a good semolina bread, right? And you're gonna get a variety of meats like salami, pepperoni, prosciutto, mortadella, gabagol, provolone, um, and when you put it together with some, fresh red peppers, balsamic vinaigrette, some lettuce, tomatoes, some onions. That's how you build an Italian sandwich.
Now, do you take yours cold or do you warm it up?
Cold. It's not to be heated up. You know what I mean? It's one of those cold sandwiches you eat. And if you let it sit, it's like if you let your, like when you have Thanksgiving and you let the dinner sit for a day and you come back the next day, it always tastes better the second day.
Absolutely.
Say if you buy a 6 foot hero of this great Italian sandwich, and then the next day after everything sinks in, you say, "Man, this is a good sandwich." Sometimes you don't have to eat it hot, you don't have to eat it cold, but you have to eat it the second day. I think you'd be good.
What about the Italian sodas? I see these things all over the place, and I never know which way to go here. There's orange, there's lime, there's lemon, there's what. For a guy who knows what it is, if I want to get a decent Italian soda, what am I looking for, and how should I drink it in a glass? Should I drink it straight out of the can or the bottle? Like, how do we do this thing right?
I guess everything can come out of a glass. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, drinking out of a can, but you're talking Italian cultures, like you are classy. You are showcasing your elegance. You're sitting there with your pinky out with the pinky ring, and you're drinking something very fine. Of course, you put it in a glass.
See, I hope you're taking notes out there, folks. We got the we're getting an education on the culture here from top to bottom. All right. What about the colognes now? Come on, you're a guy. You got a serious cologne collection. I know this. You're always complimenting on how great you smell and all this good stuff here. Uh, what do you look for when you're picking out a cologne, and what are some of the ones that it's like, yep, this is what a wise guy would allow himself to smell like?
So, guys, like for me, I have so many different colognes. I like today. I put on Paul Sebastian. I love Paul Sebastian. You have Fahrenheit.
Now, wait, is that P.S. Paul Sebastian? Just a P.S.
Yeah, yeah. I have
I
both. I
love it.
have
I love it. Warm, woodsy, fantastic cologne. I love it.
yes. So I have two versions. I have the spray bottle, and I have the one that you take out, put your finger over, over the opening, and you dab your neck in three places. So everybody can, no matter where you go, everybody's getting a nice fragrance from you. Gray flannel. If you don't douse yourself in it, it's passable. It's very good. Fahrenheit is another great cologne that I love. Denim. I've been wearing denim since I'm a kid. Denim cologne is probably one of the most best smelling colognes. And then, of course, there's Versace cologne, which I wear quite often.
All right. So I just want to point out the fact here that this guy has been copying my entire collection. Okay, he mentioned the P.S. by Paul Sebastian. He mentioned the classic gray flannel. Okay, and like you said, don't spray too much because it's very strong. It lingers, but man, what a nice classic scent that is. Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit is more like a Saturday night cologne. So if you know you're going to be hitting up the clubs and things like that, do a little dance. And Fahrenheit is nice because it mixes with your pheromones, and as you sweat, Fahrenheit gets a little bit more intense, which is what I really like about that one there.
Right.
So you now I don't have Versace. I've actually have never had a bottle of Versace cologne. So you got to tell me about this. How does this compare to the rest of them there?
Versace cologne is a very separate cologne in itself. It has a very distinct smell, which is a very pleasant smell. It's not overbearing. It's not fruity. It's not um, too aerosoly. It's just a right mix. It's a very high class cologne. Guys, if you ever tried Versace cologne, um, give it a whirl. They do come in through a bunch of different sizes if you go and shop on eBay or Amazon, and at probably price wise, you'll probably be able to get a good price for it. You don't have to buy the big bottle. They sell them in the very little tiny spray bottles that are maybe an ounce or less, and that's just to give you a little spritz so you can have a good smell. So, guys, when you're talking about different colognes or like a variety pack, or like they do sell some combination pack of colognes, give it a try. You know what I mean? Or when you're going shopping, you're out, say if you're in Macy's or one of the, high class places, guys, give it a shout. Try it on the inside of your palm or the inside of your wrist. Give it a smell. Women do it all the time to see how the fragrance is. Men do it too. I do it because I want to see how it smells. If I like it, I'll give it a spritz.
You're a guy that is very serious about his physical appearance.
Yes.
You want to look good. When you look good, you feel good. And in addition to that, when you see people who are not taking care of themselves, it kind of annoys you a little bit because it's like, look at this guy. He's a slob. He doesn't, his shoes are not shined. He's disheveled. What the hell's going on here? And it's an interesting quality. And clearly, this is something that has been ingrained in you somehow. Is this a Vito thing or is this a cultural thing where it goes back even deeper and it's not just something that you picked up on, but this was something that you were taught?
Guys, you know, when you want to look good and feel like $1 million, like, I mean, I used to buy gold chains. I had the Cuban chains. I'm a Versace guy, okay, and I don't buy. And my Versace is my thing. And when you wear Versace, it gives you some brand name importance. It gives you a certain look. It lets people know, hey, you possibly can have money, you know. But when you think about it, as a whole, you know, um, it's just like Rolex or Boulevard or everything else. You want to have a presence about you. Now, when I get dressed and I go out in my, Versace, my sunglasses are all $150. My necklaces, I have a $2,000 Versace necklace. I have $1,000 Versace necklace. I have another one for 650. I have another one for 450. I have very distinct tastes, and I have an outfit for every occasion and jewelry for every occasion. And you want to pick properly. So, I mean, it's just an elegance thing and how you want to carry yourself. Some people want to wear fake ice and have that look. I mean, that's good for them. But for people who want to have a certain look, guys, you can have that certain look, but you're going to pay for it and you're going to carry it. People will look at you differently. It's even like if I'm buying myself something from Versace, right? And, my wife is not a fashion, she's not a jewelry fashion person. She has Versace jewelry because I said, hey, baby, I got you this. She goes, I says, hey, this is it. She has Versace sunglasses. She hardly wears them because it's not her, but they're there. If she wants to wear it, I mean, hey, great. But I mean, when she wears a Versace, it makes me happy. She puts it on. I bought it for her. And she has, a few pieces of Versace jewelry that I enjoy watching her wear because I want it to look good. I want it to feel good. But not everybody is Vito Lagrasso. Not everybody has that kind of lifestyle. Not everybody wants that kind of look. You know, like I've been looking at this Versace necklace that came up, and it's beautiful. I mean, it is beautiful, but it's $1,500. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for $1,500, and it does have a matching bracelet for 1,000. So for $2,500, I can have another some good pieces of jewelry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and God forbid I get divorced. It's going in the shoe, and we're all leaving together. So
We're all leaving together. Yeah.
we're all leaving together.
Hey, listen, you're not going to get a divorce. Come on, we're not on the Male. Come on, you know better than that. What is this? Let me talk to her. I know how to smooth things over. Listen, trust me, I'm good at this. I know how to talk to her. Let me talk to her, Henry. Okay?
Thank you, Henry. Thank you.
Unbelievable. Listen, folks, again, we appreciate all of you out there for continuing to tune in on this wonderful journey, learning about culture, listening to two friends just share great stories and information, what have you. A guy like Vito Lagrasso, who is one of the nicest, gentlest people that you could ever meet. Children love him, especially young children, babies and what have you, toddlers. They take to this guy like you wouldn't believe, and it's instant. And clearly, it's because of his spirit. This is a person who is truly a good hearted person. Kids and animals, they can sense it. So if kids start crying, they don't want to be anywhere near you. If animals don't come up to you, and that's a pretty good sign that I need to keep my eyes on you. But if the kids take to you right away, if the animals want to come over to you all the time, I got birds and cats. They follow me, not attack me. They follow me. They come up to me. They want to, and I start walking down the street. They'll walk down the street with me. It's the strangest things. Like I'm Doctor Doolittle. But I know the kids in particular and dogs, they love Vito. It's a thing. So you folks tuning in and hearing some of these great stories, I mean, it's a joy. It's a joy. As the old timers would say, a la vostra salute. A salute to your health. All of you out there. What do you got for us, big man? What's the best way that folks can keep up with you? And do you have any special parting words for them as well?
All right, guys, you can catch us at the Big Vito brand on Twitter. That's X. And we also have Twitch, Instagram, Facebook at the Big Vito brand. You know, guys, for this Christmas, it's not what you get, it's what you have. And what you have sometimes is more important than what you get. So if the only thing you have is your family, be thankful. If you happen to get some good, great gifts, be thankful. If you're blessed and you happen to have great gifts and have your family, you're even more thankful. But enjoy this Christmas. Think about the words I said. Think about all the things that are happening in the world. You want to make sure your house is settled, your bills are paid, you have a meal on the table, and all your family is safe. I salute to Duke and everybody out there.
A la vostra salute.
A friend of ours, he'll stand up tall. Through gunfire smoke, he'll never fall. With heart of gold and steel resolve, a mystery we'll never solve.